I will explain the contents of Holocaust official version in more detail. First of all, I will summarize the previous contents. Orthodox scholars asserts that at some point during the first half of the war, the final solution of the Jewish problem, the means to clean out Jews from Europe, was changed from compulsory emigration to indiscriminate killing. The main means of this killing is said to be mass execution by gas execution chambers made in the concentration camps. Although gas execution chambers are famous, it is not commonly known where they are. I will confirm on the map where the gas execution chamber has been claimed to exist. Bergen-Belsen, Neuengamme, Buchenwald, Dachau, Sachsenhausen, Mauthausen, Hartheim Castle, Stutthof, Auschwitz, Majdanek, Chelmno, Sobibor, Treblinka, Belzec. However, among these, the place where the gas execution chamber physically remains is limited to a part. They are Dachau, Mauthausen, Hartheim Castle, Auschwitz I and Birkenau, Majdanek. These 5 places. Physical verification is only possible with these. During the International Military Tribunal, Sir Hartley Shawcross, Chief Prosecutor for the United Kingdom, stated, "Murder conducted like some mass production industry in the gas chambers and the ovens of Auschwitz, Dachau, Treblinka, Buchenwald, Mauthausen, Majdanek, and Oranienburg, equals Sachsenhausen." At this point, people all over the world recognized in the same way. Based on that, I will present several testimonies about gas execution chambers. Charles Hodder, who was a prisoner of Buchenwald camp, said, "An obsession with machinery literally abounded when it came to extermination. Since it had to occur quite rapidly, a special form of industrialization was required. The gas chambers answered that need in a very different way. Some, rather refined in conception, were supported by pillars of porous material with which the gas formed and then seeped through the walls. Others were simpler in structure, but all were sumptuous in appearance. It was easy to see that the architects had conceived them with pleasure, devoting great attention to them, gracing them with all the resources of their aesthetic sense. These were the only parts of the camp that had truly been constructed with love." Georges Hainick explained in 1947 about Buchenwald's gas execution chambers as follows. The room was perhaps 5 square meter wide and 3 to 3.5 meters high. On the ceiling at irregular intervals were 17 airtight, sealed shower heads. They looked like ordinary shower heads. The deportees assigned to the crematorium had warned me of the manner in which the victims, to mock them, were all given a towel and a small bar of soap before entering the shower. The unfortunates were thus brought to believe that they were entering a shower. Elisa Springer claimed in her memoirs, which appeared 42 years after the war, that the gas chambers and ovens had started to operate in Bergen-Belsen after Joseph Kramer had become camp commandant. Well, how did you feel when you heard these testimonies? It may have been convinced that the famous Nazis' gas execution chambers was such a thing. But, in fact, these testimonies are all false. This does not mean that revisionists claim to be fake. These are testimonies that are completely confirmed as false. It was concluded that there was no gas execution chamber in Bergen-Belsen. It was a conclusion that it was not in Buchenwald too. In addition to it, Dachau, Mauthausen, Hartheim Castle, Sachsenhausen, Stuthof, Neuengamme. The view of revisionists and Orthodox scholars is consistent in that at least a mass murder was not done in these camps. In other words, the remarks of Sir Hartley Shawcross, introduced earlier, are partly wrong. As a general theory, there is nothing wrong with changing the doctrine. As research progresses, it is rather natural that the theory changes. However, in this case, there is a problem with the circumstances of change. Please see the image to display next. It is a letter published in the West German newspaper Die Zeit dated August 19, 1960. Dr. Martin Broschett was a researcher at the German Federal Institute for Contemporary History, then later became director of the institute. In this article he says, "Neither in Dachau nor in Bergen-Belsen nor in Buchenwald were Jews or other prisoners gassed. The gas chamber in Dachau was never entirely completed and put into operation. Hundreds of thousands of prisoners who perished in Dachau or other concentration camps in the territory of the Reich proper, were victims above all of the catastrophic hygienic and supply conditions. The mass extermination of the Jews by gassing began in 1941–1942 and took place exclusively at several locations, above all in the occupied Polish territory, but nowhere in the Reich proper, in Auschwitz-Birkenau, in Sobibor on the Bug, in Treblinka, Chelmno, and Belzec. There, but not in Bergen-Belsen, Dachau or Buchenwald, those mass extermination facilities disguised as shower baths or disinfection rooms were set up." Dr. Martin Broschett, Institut für Zeitgeschichte, Munich. I think this article is quite strange as it originated from the most authoritative historical laboratory in Germany. As mentioned earlier, the world's perception immediately after the end of the war was that genocide was done at all camps under the rule of the Nazis. If it is said that genocide was done only in Poland, it is a very serious change. However, as far as I can tell, the origin of this new story is this one-page article posted in the newspaper. There is no single authority in this. No grounds are shown at all. In other words, only conclusions are written suddenly. I do not think that this article is academic at all. However, this article had denied genocide in Germany. Nazi hunter Simon Wiesenthal also supported this view. It is true that there were no extermination camps on German soil and thus no mass gassings such as those that took place at Auschwitz, Treblinka, and other camps. A gas chamber was in the process of being built at Dachau, but it was never completed. I will revisit this subject later. Either way, the basic form of the Holocaust was established since this time. Below I will explain hypotheses to the last in the Holocaust official version. First of all, Nazi camps are classified into three categories. 1. Pure extermination camp. 2. Labor and extermination camp. 3. Normal concentration camp. The one pure extermination camp was a facility made just to kill the Jews. There was no other function at all. There were 4 places: Chelmno, Sobibor, Treblinka, Belzec. Next, the labor and extermination camp of 2 had 2 purposes: to accommodate prisoners as labor force and to kill them. This is Auschwitz and Majdanek. And all other camps belong to 3, the normal camp. However, please be aware that this classification is from the official version's standpoint. I will emphasize that in the document materials at the time, all the places are described simply as concentration camps. Naturally, handling of people collected in camps also differed from each other. In pure extermination camps, all the prisoners, including healthy people, were unconditionally killed. Therefore, there were no prisoners in these camps. Auschwitz and Majdanek were labor and extermination camps. Here, among the transferred people, workable people were registered as prisoners and will work in the factory. Most other people were judged to be unable to work and sent to the gas execution chamber for being killed. Also, if people registered as prisoners suffered from plague, they were treated at the hospitals within the camps. When they recovered, they returned to labor. If they could not recover, they would die or gassed. This is an important point. Neither the transporter nor the prisoner was left in record in case of being killed by gas. If they die due to other factors, a death certificate will be left. In the previous video, I explained that the Holocaust victims were not recorded, mostly not prisoners. The reason is based on this official version. And in normal camps, prisoners would remain alive unconditionally, including those who were unable to work. Even if the prisoners suffered from plague, the Nazis continued treating them until they die. This is the framework of the Holocaust settled after 1960. However, in the official version, that is the only confirmed theory. There is little agreement on other individual contents. One example is when the Holocaust began, that is, the date when Hitler's extinction order was issued. Even this, unification of opinion among Orthodox scholars has not been done. It was said that this period was January 1942 for a long time. I will explain this in detail later in the movie. However, it seems that there are now few people who support it. I list each theory. Leon Poliakov. Early in 1941. Robert Kempner and Helmut Krausnick. Spring 1941. Raoul Hilberg. Perhaps summer of 1941. According to the confession of Rudolf Haas. The summer of 1941. Eberhard Jackel. September 24, 1941. Dietrich Adam. Fall in 1941. Sebastian Hafner. Early December 1941. In other words, there was certainly the order, but we do not know that time. Thus, various theories have a range for a year. Then, you can understand that the time when the genocide according to it started also has the same width. Furthermore, there is the theory that Hitler did not issue orders. Martin Broschet of the German Federation Modern History Institute director, as mentioned above, took the position that Hitler did not make final decision on the extinction of the Jews and did not issue orders. This image is a screenshot taken from the official website of the Wannsee Memorial. It seems that this memorial hall is also following Broschüt's thesis that Hitler did not issue orders clearly. Furthermore, surprisingly, the theory that Hitler did not know that the Holocaust was taking place appeared. History writer David Irving cast this theory and surprised the world. He then roughly accepted the theory of revisionists and became a trial. Also, the date of when the first gassing, which is said to have been done in Auschwitz, was not unified at all. According to Auschwitz calendar, it is between September 3rd and 5th of 1941. Polish historian S. Klodziński has changed this date between September 5th and 9. Historian Philip Friedman says it was September 15th. In the statements made by Michael Kula on June 11, 1945, it was August 1941. According to the words of Judge Jansen, this will be after December 1941. How should we understand this confused information? If there was no Holocaust, did there be neither atomic bombs nor the Pacific War? Such assertions are often made. However, the date on which Japan decided to war against the US was clearly known as November 5, 1941. The date of the decision to drop the atomic bomb is clearly known for May 10 for Hiroshima and July 24 for Nagasaki. We do not know the date on which it was ordered. There is a difference in the date of the order by the researcher for 1 year. The leaders have not made a decision. The leader did not know the decision. There is no theory like that at all. This is not the only one. There are even bigger problems with the number of victims in each camp. Next, I will summarize the number of various victims by camp. I will explain from the Chelmno extermination camp, which is said to have been made earliest. Surprisingly, the murder method in this camp is a homicidal gas track. Many people were surprised. However, in the sense that the official version has such a theory, this is a totally true fact. In other words, only in this camp, gas execution chambers were not constructed. Here, a special murder track equipped with a gas chamber on the loading platform was parked. People trapped in the room were killed by diesel engine exhaust gas. Number of victims: 360,000, 340,000, 300,000, 145, 500 or more, 150,000, 100,000 or more, 54,990, 34,000. Next is Bible. As for the method of killing, a spirally, black substance dripping through holes in the ceiling of a death chamber camouflaged as a shower. Diesel engine exhaust gas. Gasoline engine exhaust gas. There were variations such as: it seems now that the correct thing is said to be the second diesel engine gas chamber. Number of victims: 2,250,000, 200,000, 30,000 to 35,000. Next is Belzec. The means of killing is: killing by means of electricity in an underground water cistern, followed by incineration of the corpses. Killing by means of electricity on a metal plate, followed by processing of the corpses into soap. Killing in trains by means of quicklime. Carbon monoxide in bottles. Zyklon B in bottles. Killing caused by some kind of gas that is not exhaust gas from gasoline motor. Exhaust gas from a diesel motor. Amazingly, there were 7 as well. Representative Orthodox scholar Raoul Hilberg has adopted the 4th and 7th. Number of victims: 3 million, 2 million, 1,800,000, 1,800,555, 600,000, 550,000, minimum 300,000, 100,000 to 150,000. The way of killing in Treblinka is extremely rich. Suffocation by pumping the air out of a death chamber. Killing by shooting in the neck on a conveyor belt. Murder by hot steam. This is the most common pattern, which was adopted as a fact in the Nuremberg trial. However, it seems that the exhaust gas of the diesel engine is now being adopted in the official version. There were theories such as movable gas chambers, fixed gas chambers, immediate and delayed poison gas, lime, electricity execution, machine guns, chlorine gas, Zyklon B, etc. Number of victims: 3,500,000, 3 million, 2,775,000, 1,582,000, 1,200,000, 1,074,000, 974,000, 912,000, 900,000, 881,390, 870,000, 800,000, 731,600 to 800,000, 750,000, over 700,000, 200,000 to 250,000. The method of killing in Majdanek is carbon monoxide packed in a gas cylinder and cyan gas generated from Zyklon B. Number of victims: 1,700,000, 1,500,000, 1,380,000, 360,000, 250,000, 235,000, 160,000, 125,000, 100,000, 50,000. The end is Auschwitz. Actually, the method of killing in Auschwitz had various theories during wartime. In the Polish resistance movement report during wartime, fantastic methods such as electrified baths, a pneumatic hammer, war gas, have appeared. Immediately after Auschwitz was occupied, an article by a serving reporter Boris Polovoy was posted on Pravda issued February 2, 1945. What was drawn in the article was electrified conveyor belt for homicide. This is a very interesting sentence, so I will read it all. Last year, when the Red Army revealed to the world the terrible and abominable secrets of Majdanek, the Germans in Auschwitz began to wipe out the traces of their crimes. They leveled the mounds of the so-called old graves in the eastern part of the camp, tore up and destroyed the traces of the electric conveyor belt, on which hundreds of people were simultaneously electrocuted, their bodies falling onto the slow-moving conveyor belt which carried them to the top of the blast furnace where they fell in, were completely burned, their bones converted to meal in the rolling mills, and then sent to the surrounding fields. In retreat were taken the special transportable apparatuses for killing children. The stationary gas chambers in the eastern part of the camp were restructured, even little turrets and other architectural embellishments were added so that they would look like innocent garages. Other than that, there is also a testimony: incineration while still alive in an oven, incineration while still alive in pits. And since the end of the war, the famous execution method using Zyklon B in the gas chamber had become established. The testimony about gas execution chambers in Auschwitz had already appeared in the trial conducted in Kharkov during the war. The next testimony to be shown is from SS officer Heinrich on December 16, 1943. Very interestingly, the gas is supposed to be sent with a special valve open. This method is totally different from the currently established version to insert Zyklon B in the hole of the ceiling. Anyway, let's enumerate the number of victims in Auschwitz in ascending order. 9 million, 8 million, 7 million, 6 million, 5 million to 5,500,000, 4,500,000. And the most important number is 4 million, which was recognized in the Nuremberg trial. The origin of this number is the Soviet side material of May 6, 1945. Many important testimonies are consistent with this figure. In the confession of Rudolf Haas, 2,500,000 people had been killed during the term he was the camp commander. If we compute this figure proportionally, total is about 4 million. Continue. 3,500,000. 3 million. 2,500,000. 2 million. 1,600,000. 1,500,000. 1,471,595. 1,250,000. 1,100,000 to 1,500,000. 1,800,000 to 900,000. 775,000 to 900,000. 630,000 to 710,000. 360,000. Finally, enumeration of the number of victims is over. When all the numbers are put together, it will be as shown in the table below. Well, how can we calculate the total number of the Holocaust victims from such a wide number of figures? The number of victims adopted by researchers is very different. The figure immediately after the end of the war was like this. As an example of researchers, Raoul Hilbert is adopting like this. Lucy Davidovich has adopted it like this. When summarizing the total number of massacres and the number of homicides in the outdoors, it becomes such a table. How about that? Although the individual figures vary very widely, we can see that the sum of these numbers is between 5 million and 6 million. Let's explain the number 6 million at the bottom left of the table. The rationale for this number is a single information source. Therefore, this is quite different from what sums the numbers above. The number of famous victims of this 6 million people is based on the testimony of the 2 German SS bureaucrats. One of them, Wilhelm Hodl's testimony, was submitted as written testimony in the Nuremberg trial. Another person, Dieter Wielesny, testified in the courtroom. Both witnesses testified that they heard 6 million people from Adolf Eichmann. However, Eichmann himself had denied this in a trial in Jerusalem in 1961. However, there are amazing facts. Perhaps most people think that a figure of 6 million turned out after the war. Actually, it existed from wartime. New York Times. March 10, 1943. March 2, 1943. December 13, 1942. A figure of 6 million appears in every article. Even more surprisingly, the origin of this number can be traced back to 1920, before the outbreak of the Second World War. 6 million. 6 million. 6 million. 6 million. 6 million. 6 million. This site introduces many articles of those days. I have some images quoted. 6 million. 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 Surprisingly, this can go back to 1886. Benjamin Bleck tells about an ancient Jewish prophecy, promising the Jews the return to the Promised Land after the loss of 6 million of their people. Unfortunately, however, I cannot ascertain the authenticity of this theory. Based on this fact, please take a look at this table again. If it is an individual figure that was confirmed immediately after the end of the war, the total will be larger than the preset 6 million victims. Therefore, the number of individuals was gradually adjusted so that the total number gradually approached 6 million. Do not you look like that? Is not it natural to remember distrust of Holocaust official version? In the next video, I will further analyze the content of the official version. For that reason, I will explain again the most famous person among the camp's dead. If we examine the fate of Anne Frank, the entity of the official version will be revealed.